Welcome to another edition of From the Press Box here every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., part of the WHPC Sports Talk family. Sports Talk every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., with an additional show every Tuesday, 10 p.m. to midnight. My name is Rob Leonard, and joining me, of course, is my brother and award-winning sports writer, Tim Leonard, as we talk sports every Monday. Brother, how are you?
I am outstanding again, brother. Got my COVID shot last week, got all finished up with that, had a couple rough days, but now I'm feeling good.
I actually got mine on Wednesday. I got an email from the county that morning, and it said we have plenty of openings at Nassau Community College. And
Come on down, Mr. Leonard.
I said, I know where that is, except that they didn't say in the email where the shots were being done. So I actually had to call the campus and said, where are the shots being done?
I'm sure they have a lot of signs, brother.
When you came in from Hempstead Turnpike, there wasn't. If you came in from Stewart Avenue, there was. So I actually had to go around because it was starting to rain, and the parking lot at the college has been changed. So I wanted to go in the teachers' parking area, so I didn't have to walk as much. So I did that, and then I got my shot, and then afterwards I go visit our program director Sean Novat to get some CDs, and I actually saw Sean in person. I was like, wow, there's Sean. Because we haven't seen him. We see him on the Zoom here because that's how we do our show, but I hadn't seen him in person. So I was like, hey, Sean, how you doing? So I'm going to be putting more songs and from Beatles into the system, and then
did you bump elbows?
No, he didn't. I was sitting at the where we go in. There's a staircase there, and I'm sitting at the top, and he go and I didn't tell him I was going to be there. He was going to come upstairs and then give it to me. I was going to be in my car, but I said, let me meet him halfway. And it was kind of a shock that I was there. And, he almost fell back, but thank God he didn't. So it was pretty funny. I'm sure Sean wasn't laughing as hard, but But anyway, it was good to see him for the 4 seconds I saw him. And, it's
progress, brother. That's what it is. It's progress.
You think about it. I mean, I've seen you, in person, but I really haven't seen a lot of people in person, and most people haven't. You're on Zoom or you're on the phone or whatever, but you really don't see. I mean, I haven't seen Kim or, who works at the station, or, Eric Fischetti, who's on before us. So we haven't seen Eric in over a year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I started to realize I haven't seen a lot of people in a long time, so in person. So anyway, by the way, last night, I don't know if you saw the Oscars.
I did not watch, brother.
It was extremely boring. I mean, I'm not talking about the movies themselves because I didn't know any of them anyway.
Right.
But the problem was it was just kind of, it just didn't work for some reason. I wonder what the ratings were. But anyway, let's talk about stuff that is working. Jacob deGrom, 15 strikeouts against the Nationals this past weekend. Mets won 6-0, by the way, which is nice because, he needs runs. But 6, you hope doesn't cover like the next 3 games where he gets 0. And then they say, well, the next, games, he got 6 runs over 4 games or something. Anyway, Timmy, I was thinking about this. We're watching something special right now with Jacob deGrom that people should be like remembering, 20 years from now. I mean, his ERA right now is 0.31. That's
very small.
That's very small. He has 50 strikeouts right now so far in the season.
Brother? How many innings?
What?
In how many innings?
I don't know how many innings.
Okay. I will check that, brother. I think it's 29, though.
Okay. And he's 2-1 right now. He should be more, but
he should not have lost any of his starts at this point.
Right.
But yeah, Jacob deGrom has been, he's must-see TV at this point.
Reminds me of Doc Good in 1985 or 84.
Yeah, 29 innings in 4 starts for Jacob deGrom. He has 50 strikeouts, which is just absurd. He's been outstanding. There's no other way to put it. Whatever is beyond outstanding, that's what Jacob deGrom has been. He like you said, I mean, he deserves the comparisons to whatever pitcher you want to compare him to. I'm looking at his starts right now. Phillies opening day for the Mets, he struck out 7 in 6 innings. Then against the Miami Marlins, 8 innings, 14 strikeouts, 1 run. And that was the only earned run he's allowed all season. Then against Colorado, and this is at Colorado, not an easy place to pitch. 14 strikeouts in 6 innings, which is ridiculous. And then, as you said, the game against the Washington Nationals the other night, he went complete game shutout. 15 strikeouts, only allowed 2 hits, and for the second start this season, did not allow any runs. Against Colorado, he did allow 3 runs, but none of them were earned. So thank you, Met defense. But yeah, 1 earned run all season in 29 innings, which is just as ridiculous. He's got 50 strikeouts and 3 walks. So I mean, Jacob deGrom right now, to me, and I will remind people, I am a Yankee fan. I do like Garrett Cole, but there's no doubt that Jacob deGrom currently is the best pitcher in baseball, and it's probably not really that close. He's been phenomenal, and that is with Garrett Cole also having been phenomenal, but not as phenomenal as Jacob deGrom. So he should be 4-0. He's 2-0, but I mean, what are you going to do?
2-1, brother.
No,
2. I thought it was 2-1. Maybe I wrote down the wrong.
Wait a minute.
Anyway,
no, you're right. 2-1.
Oh, okay, great.
2-1. That's ridiculous. How did he lose a game?
I don't know.
He must have
anyway,
Colorado game.
The Mets are 9-8 right now in the National League East, and they are in first place.
What a disgusting division when a 9-8 team is in first place.
Well, part of for a while the NL East was a top division, and right now it's it's a little mixture of right now. We'll see what happens. But you know what deGrom is covering up right now, though not on purpose, is the fact that Michael Conforto is batting .214, and Lindor, with that huge contract that he just signed, is batting .210. So
yeah, the bats aren't getting it done yet right now with the Mets for sure. But you know what? I'm not even worried about that. That's as the saying goes, brother. Small sample size. There's plenty of teams that or plenty of players, especially who have gotten off to slow starts, and it happens. And I know from listening to Yankee games and listening to Paul O'Neill, that was always the thing that scared him the most about the early part of the season, was getting off to the slow start, because then you're scrambling, it seems like, the rest of the season,
right,
to get your numbers back where they should be. And Lindor, I'm sure, is cognizant of what's happening with his numbers, and I Conforto probably even more so, because he's a free agent after the season. But Lindor, with the big contract, I'm sure he wanted to get off to a good start, a hot start. I'm sure he wanted to be batting .350 with 4 or 5 home runs by now, but that's not the way it's going. So, the Mets just need to relax a little bit. They need to score some runs. They did it the other day, with the deGrom start, with the 6-0 win. Of course, deGrom helped out with that with a couple of hits too. I mean, deGrom's been his own best hitter. So he's doing everything. Right. He's like Shohei Ohtani, except he doesn't have to be a DH.
Well, one thing, Lindor reminds me a little bit right now of when Mike Piazza first came to the Mets in '98, and he was not doing what Mike Piazza was supposed to do, and he started to get booed, and finally he figured out, whether it was Shea Stadium or just being on the Mets, and all of a sudden he became the player that everyone expected. And, we still miss, if we get Mike Piazza back from 1998, 1999, that'd be a dream type of thing, of course, but obviously it can't, but happened.
Right.
But Lindor, I give him another couple of weeks before the fans start booing him, getting on his case. Conforto, the same thing. I'm just shocked that Conforto is not doing what, like you said, he's got a contract ending at the end of the season. You want to go out and get some money based on your good season this season. Right. And right now that's not happening. So
and that's usually, well, I don't want to say usually what happens with players. It's pretty much a split. I mean, some guys have a career year in their contract season because their focus is so on the next contract, and they desperately want to cash in. And other guys, the pressure gets to them, and they press too hard, and they don't perform like they normally do, because it's not natural. It's they're forcing it. They want to hit the 6-run home run every time they're up at bat. So, from that standpoint, it seems like Conforto is in that latter category right now, and he just needs to calm down, just relax a little bit, not think so much when he's at the plate, and just let his talent play. And you can look at guys who have been in similar situations, and I'll name a couple of Yankees. Tino Martinez, when he came over to the Yankees after the trade from Seattle, he's replacing Don Mattingly. Here's a guy who desperately wanted to get off to a good start, got off to a terrible start. Same goes for Didi Gregorius when he came in to replace Derek Jeter. A bad start, but by the time by the time both of them were done, they were beloved Yankees. Fans loved them because they played well. They played their hearts out, and you knew that the effort that they were giving was something you could count on every day. And with Conforto, that's why the Met fans aren't booing him, because they know what kind of player he is, and they know what kind of effort he gives. And they're willing to give him a few weeks and say, all right, you know what? We know the real Michael Conforto. We've seen the real Michael Conforto. And here's a guy who we know what he will give us. And that player is coming. And the same you can say for Lindor, because he's been that player throughout his career. It's just when you sign a contract, that big of a contract, that all of a sudden that comes with expectations. And a lot of players, it takes them a full season to just get comfortable with the fact that, hey, I'm making $35 million this year. And that instead of me trying to become something I'm not, I'm just going to play and be me. And that's good enough. It was good enough to get me $35 million a year. It'll be good enough for the rest of the contract.
Speaking of contracts, at this point with deGrom, when do you rip it up and rewrite it?
You don't. There's no reason to. Look, let's face it. The only thing wrong with Jacob deGrom's contract is that it's not for enough years. Financially, per year, he's making good money. He's making.
I know, but let's say you added like another 3 years to it.
I wouldn't do that if I'm the Mets.
I
wouldn't do it because Jacob. I tell you what, Jacob deGrom. The issue with Jacob deGrom that people tend to forget, and I'm going to assume that you have forgotten this, brother.
I've forgotten.
He's not a young man.
No, he's not. You're right. No, I agree.
He is 2 months away from his 33rd birthday.
Yep, that's right.
So, like you said earlier, enjoy it while you can, Met fans, because this is a guy, he's not 28. He's not even below 30. I mean, he is about to be 33 years old. And
I think he has 2 or 3 more years on his contract, so
I can check that, but he's got that 5-year deal. He's making 33 million, I think, or 34 million.
He's making a lot. You're right. He is making a lot, brother. I agree.
That's why people look at his contract and they say, oh, Jacob deGrom is underpaid, because he didn't get the Garrett Cole money. He didn't get the $300 million. Like, he didn't get the big splashy headline.
But also Garrett Cole got many more years out too.
That's my point. Is that deGrom signed a deal that was somewhat team friendly in the obligation. If Garrett Cole all of a sudden, if something happens to his shoulder or he needs Tommy John surgery, to be honest, I would rather Tommy John surgery than shoulder surgery. Shoulder surgery is a disaster. But if that happens to Jacob deGrom, then the Mets are in a far better place because they're only on the hook for so many years. If Garrett Cole, let's say Garrett Cole takes a line drive to his right shoulder,
right,
and it blows up his shoulder. Well, the Yankees are on the hook for 8 more years.
Right.
And there's no way around that. I mean, insurance would cover it, I'm sure, but they're still obligated contractually to Garrett Cole for 8 more years. With the Mets, I mean, that was the advantage of the contract for Jacob deGrom. And should deGrom's representation have pushed harder for a 6th or a 7th year? I mean, absolutely they should have. But that was the agreement they reached.
Right.
Jacob deGrom is still one of the best paid pitchers in baseball. He's not the best like he probably should be, but at the time he signed the contract, he was in the top 3. So the only fault that I find with the deal is that it wasn't long enough when he signed it.
Yeah, I agree. No, yeah, so, if he got one or 2 more years, then it'd be probably be a better deal. And no one knew he was going to turn into this super pitcher. Which is happening right now. He
already was. I mean, he's been even better.
He's gotten better.
I'll give you that. He has gotten better, but he already was one of the top handful of pitchers in baseball when he signed that contract. I mean, he was coming off. What was he coming off his first Cy Young or going into his first Cy Young season? I mean, one of those two. But he was a guy who the Mets knew they could rely on, and they knew what he was going to give them every game. So, he was already that guy. He's absolutely gotten better. I mean, the only reason I can see for the Mets to tack on a couple more years to the contract is just so that they don't have to get to a point where Jacob deGrom even starts considering free agency. But how many more years do you want to tack on?
2. I would give him 2 years and whatever the salary he's making this year.
I would certainly give him more than what he was making. I would give him $40 million a year, but
I wouldn't give him that much.
The problem with that is whatever you're tacking on, you're going to be tacking on to a pitcher who's going to be in like his age 37, 38 seasons.
Right,
and at some point, all of this deGrom magic is going to end. He's not going to be Sandy Koufax forever. He's not going to be Jacob deGrom forever. At some point, there is going to be a decline. In performance. That happens to every athlete. As they say, brother, Father Time is undefeated.
That's true. Anyway, brother, let's move on. The Yankees are still in last place.
But they're in fourth, brother. They're in fourth. What? They're in fourth place.
You sure? I thought I just checked the MLB standings thing and have them in last place.
Fourth, brother. 9-12.
Sure?
They're tied for fourth with the Orioles.
Oh, so they're in fifth place.
No, they're in fourth place.
Aren't the Orioles have a better record, within the division or something? That's why they're at the top of the number 4. So technically, the Yankees are in fifth.
Alphabetical, brother.
Alphabetical.
Alphabetical. That's how they.
Yeah, the Yankees are in fifth place.
No, they're in fourth place.
They're tied for fourth. Okay, they're still in fifth.
That's what I said. Fourth place.
Anyway, the Yankees won 3 in a row. But then they lost another game, and if they didn't win that 3 in a row, I think the Yankee fans would be getting ready to, go Harry Carey.
No, what? Go drink a beer and sing in the 7th inning? What are you talking about, brother?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Get drunk and go to Harry Carey's. And is Harry Carey still open in Chicago?
Of course,
he's been gone for a while. He's been gone for a while.
The place does business, brother.
I'm sure it does.
Not during COVID, obviously, but. Before COVID, that place is a cash cow, a cash holy cow.
So what's going on with the Yankees, brother? I look at them and I'm like,
they're starting to turn a corner, brother. Turn a corner.
You know that. No, I agree. I personally think that the Yankees are going to be much better in about a month.
The problem with the Yankees right now, brother, is the fans. That's the problem. The fans are idiots. And there's too many people on Twitter.
All your buddies.
No, they're not my buddies. These are the people. These are the people who I avoid. These are the people who when I was a sports writer, I would purposely avoid because they're brainless. All they do is complain, but they want to. They demand they're even worse than George Steinbrenner was. They want to win every game, which is completely unrealistic. A great baseball team will lose at least 60 times a year. All right.
Right.
So whether or not you lose a bunch of those games in April or not, I'm not saying the April games don't matter because obviously they do. And then obviously I would like to see the Yankees playing better than they were when they were at 5-10. They have played better in the last week. I'll give them that. But it's going to take a little while. It takes more than a week to turn around a 5-10 start. You know, if you go 6-1 in the next week, you're still one game over 500, and the record still looks pretty pedestrian. So, you know, as far as what's wrong with the Yankees, as the saying goes, or as you asked, they're not hitting. Plain and simple. I was looking at the stats before, and you know, DJ LeMahieu leads the Yankees in hitting, which is certainly not unusual and is certainly to be expected. But DJ LeMahieu is leading the Yankees with a .260 batting average. That's not acceptable. That's not. First of all, that's not what you gave DJ LeMahieu all the money for, even though I still think he's underpaid. But you signed this guy to a 6-year extension to be a 300 hitter, and he will be. I'm fairly certain. But early in the season, he's been ordinary, and the problem is not a lot of Yankees have even been ordinary. They've been bad. You know, name a Yankee. The only guy who's really hitting is Giancarlo Stanton, and he's only hitting for power. He's not hitting for average. Aaron Judge is hitting more for average than he is for power. But you know, that's what the Yankees are dealing with right now. You know, the timely hitting hasn't been there. Really, the offense hasn't been there. The pitching has been okay. It certainly hasn't been good, but it's been okay. It's been acceptable. And the hitting has just been atrocious. So, you know, it started to turn a corner a little bit against Cleveland. They you know, it was, you know, more hits, some timely hitting. You know, I mean, the Yankees have won. They won 3 out of 4 in Cleveland. They've won 4 of their last 6. I'm not going to be like Yankees Twitter. And then after a 5-10 start, you know, everybody starts screaming, "Oh, we need to fire Boone. He's not a good manager. We need to fire Cashman. What's wrong with him? Look at the mess that he's left us with." You know, calm down. Because you know what? Here's another good example of Brian Cashman doing everything he can and making incremental improvements in the team. And the name that I'm going to throw out there, Rougned Odor. He's been fantastic since they got him. And the Texas Rangers basically begged the Yankees to take him. They wanted him gone so badly that they're paying like 95% of his contract. Rougned Odor is owed $27 million over the next 2 seasons, and the Yankees are paying about $500,000 of it. I mean, that's how bad Texas wanted him gone. And all you hear from the Yankees is what a spark this guy has been, and the energy that he's bringing to the clubhouse. I don't know why Texas would want a guy like that gone so desperately, but until something happens that proves that he's not the guy he has been for the first few weeks he's been in pinstripes, I'm buying in. And another good move by Brian Cashman that cost the Yankees next to nothing.
Right, I would do it. If any time a team wants to pay you to take a good player off their hands, you know.
I mean, let's face it. Odor wasn't hitting well. I'll certainly acknowledge that he had a .215 batting average over the last few seasons. I mean, he certainly, you know, hasn't been a productive player in that regard. But you know what? I'll take the shot. I'll see what he can do. Change of scenery often helps a player. He's been fine. I have no issues with him as a Yankee. I mean, hell, he batted cleanup yesterday. How many guys do you basically get for free that you can plug into your lineup into the cleanup spot?
None.
So it's a rarity. You know, I mean, Luke Voit is another one. And when Luke Voit comes back, you know, that'll also help the Yankees, because then DJ LeMahieu will be able to play in the other infield positions as he is accustomed to doing. Of course, when that happens, that means Rougned Odor probably will wind up on the bench and become more of a backup option. I was going to say utility, but he really can't play the other infield positions. So I hope he's working on that. And maybe, you know, I mean, obviously he plays second base, but can he play on the left side of the diamond? Can he play short? Can he play third? Can he be a backup option at those spots? I mean, that's something that the Yankees should be working with him on figuring that out, if they aren't already doing that, because that would make Odor a much more valuable player to them. But like I said, hitting has been an issue, a big issue. Pitching, maybe not so much, although I wasn't all that impressed with Jameson Taillon again yesterday. After he had one good start, then it was another not so good one. The one good thing that I will say is, I don't know if you saw the catch that Clint Frazier made yesterday, brother. Unbelievable. Full out Superman dive,
really?
Going towards the wall, which is already a contender for catch of the year. That's how good it was. It was ridiculous. Somebody's going to have to climb a wall to do better than what Clint Frazier did yesterday. Totally sold out. Totally disregarded any damage he might do to his body, and just when I say a Superman dive, you know what I'm saying, brother?
I do, brother. Yes.
Like went flat out and just sold it out to make the catch and made the catch, which is unbelievable. I'll post that on the From the Press Box Facebook page so people can see it later.
Please do. Anyway, brother, the NFL draft starts Thursday. The Jets are still the number 2 pick. Most likely are picking Zach Wilson. And I only say most likely because hey, you never know. It might be a trade. You never know what might happen.
No, the Jets aren't trading the number 2 pick.
I know that, but we've seen crazier things on draft day, so it would have to be a good trade. I mean, I don't see the Jets giving up their number 2 pick for just a couple of little things, So, right. But anyway, we should say that next week, just as a reminder, our good friend J.P. Pelsman, the Jets beat writer for Forbes magazine, Forbes.com, I should say,
right.
Will be our guest to talk about the draft. So we look forward to that. But, any other surprises you think about the draft, or, what the Giants might do, or, before we, do the draft on Thursday?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to be saying anything that hasn't already been said, but really, the draft will start at number 4 with the Falcons. And we have to see, will the Falcons trade that pick? Because the first 3 picks are going to be quarterbacks. And it'll be Trevor Lawrence, it'll be Zach Wilson, and it'll be probably Mac Jones to the 49ers. It could be Trey Lance, but I'm assuming Mac Jones is going to be the guy. But in that case, then the Falcons at number 4 become the team that, all right, where are they going? And are they going to pick a successor to Matt Ryan? I say they probably will not. You could certainly go Kyle Pitts at 4, or you could get a boatload of draft picks for the team that wants to move up to get Kyle Pitts, the tight end from Florida, who is a phenomenal prospect. I mean, he is a guy. He's a wide receiver in a tight end body. I mean, the guy is huge, and he runs 4.4.
Wow.
You don't see athletes like him come around very often. So, the Falcons could certainly move that pick unless they want to take Kyle Pitts, or Penei Sewell is another guy, massive offensive lineman who people already see as a perennial Pro Bowl kind of guy. But that pick is where the draft will turn, and will the Falcons trade the pick? Will they pick somebody who in that spot? And that's where things are going to start taking a turn, so to speak. Because I think it's the Bengals pick after them. And that's another team that I know that Joe Burrow has been pushing to get Jamar Chase, his old buddy from LSU. But the team seems to be looking more at Sewell and trying to get a big lineman to protect Joe Burrow, who needs protecting. So that for me anyway, all of this leads up to what's going to happen to the Giants at number 11. Because there are a lot of teams like the Dolphins at 6, and there are whispers that the Dolphins could trade that pick again. Because if you remember, the Dolphins were at 3. They traded down to 12 with the Eagles, and then traded up to 6 with this whole thing, this whole 3-team trade thing with the 49ers, Dolphins, and Eagles. But now the Dolphins at 6 could move that pick. And again, to me, all things point to what is going to happen at 11 for the Giants. And there should be an impact receiver at 11. Do the Giants want to take that impact receiver after just giving Kenny Golladay a 4-year contract for $72 million? I don't know. Right. That is, do the Giants want to build that sort of receiving core, or will an offensive lineman slide to number 11 and be the kind of guy? I mean, people say, oh, Daniel Jones needs weapons. Well, Daniel Jones also needs protection. And if you can get a block of granite kind of offensive lineman who can watch Daniel Jones's back for the next 10 years, that's a guy you need to get more so than a guy who can catch the ball. Because this draft is deep in wide receivers. You can get one in the second round. And the Giants, I don't know how much the Giants actually need a wide receiver. You got Golladay, you got Sterling Shepard, you got Darius Slayton. The Giants have a decent, not a great receiving core, but it's a pretty good receiving core. So that a wide receiver isn't a pressing issue, but we'll see where that goes, and we'll see if Dave Gettleman can actually trade down and maybe acquire a couple more picks, if that turns out to be the proper solution for them.
Right. So you're listening to 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College, from the press box on your radio or your listening device. This show becomes a podcast later on all the places you find podcasts: Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, among others. My name is Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, every week is my brother and award-winning sports writer, Timothy J. Leonard.
The first.
Now, brother, the Knicks are right now, I think, the best team in the NBA.
Whoa! Even though, slow down. The hottest team in the NBA.
I think the best team right now in the NBA.
No,
9 in a row they've won. They beat up on the Raptors on Saturday, which was a 1 p.m. game. I thought I was watching a rerun, and it was actually a live game. It was great. They are in 4th place. They're 34-27. Right now, they're going to play. If right now were the thing, they'd be playing the Hawks. If the playoffs were to start right now, they'd be playing the Hawks, which I think they're going to beat up on very easily.
Well, I don't know about easily, but they just did beat the Hawks last week. So
right. So
I mean, you can. I mean, right now there's not a lot of time left in the season, but
no,
the Knicks, they're obviously playing extremely well right now. Anytime any team wins 9 in a row, you're playing well. And they play Phoenix tonight, which obviously Phoenix has had a very good season and they are a very good team. But so are the Knicks at this point. And you certainly can't look at nine wins in a row and dismiss it, because it not only has been 9 wins in a row, but it's been 9 fairly convincing wins in a row. There really hasn't been a close game in any of the closest game. Might have been the first one. They beat the Grizzlies 133-129, but every other win has been by pretty much 10 points. So, I mean, we talked about the Knicks before the season started, and I will acknowledge we really haven't said a whole lot about them this year. But this is a team that, if you remember, I did say before the season started, and we did say that the Knicks, the Vegas had them to the over-under was 22.5 wins. And I strongly advised our listeners to bet the over. And if you did, you're cashing in that ticket.
I think we both said they were going to make the playoffs. I think I had them at the 8 seed.
Yes, I do recall that, brother. And the Knicks have exceeded both of our expectations. In fact, I think they've exceeded everybody's expectations.
Well, I don't want to say they got the right coach, because I thought they had the right coach a couple other times too.
No.
And talented guys, to say the least. But the coach right now is just, has worked this team to the right area. and they're playing well together. There's a lot going on with this team right now.
Well, I thought when the Knicks hired Tom Thibodeau, I thought that they finally got the coaching situation correct, and it's been a long time for that, because I will disagree with you. I didn't think they had gotten the coaching thing right, not even close.
A couple of times, but you thought that
guy was name.
I don't know. I can't remember all the coaches right now.
But that's the problem, is they've had too many coaches. And they've had too many guys who really didn't know what they were doing. And I thought Fizdale was going to be a good coach, and then it turned out that he was not a good fit for the team. But Tom Thibodeau was a guy who his focus is defense, and even though the Knicks are giving up points, a lot of points left and right. I mean, in this 9-game winning streak, they've given up under 100 points only 3 times. But that's where the NBA is going. It's turning into a shooter's league. It's turning into if you give up under 100 points, that's a mammoth defensive effort in this day and age.
You know what I see, brother? I see too many 3-pointers that are actually going in now.
Well,
I think that's a major problem.
That's what I'm saying. It's turning into a shooter's league. You have guys that toss 30-footers up like it's nothing. Now, 10 years ago, that shot was a desperation heave. Now guys are just standing there and hey, I'm 30-footer, I'm open. I'll take this. And that's how guys are playing now. That's how young players are playing now.
Right.
Even before they get to the league, they're taking that shot and they're working on that shot because they see Steph Curry burying it all the time. So, the only solution to that is to move the 3-point line back, which I don't think they're going to do. In fact, they really can't do it, because you can't move the corner and the sideline, where the 3-point line goes. You can't move that back any farther than it is. Because guys with big feet can't even shoot that shot in the corner. That's how little room there is. So you can't just move the line back from the elbows to the top of the key, because then guys will shoot corner threes all the time, because that'll be an easier shot. But they're all going to be worth 3 points. So you have to leave the line where it is. And it's not an easy shot. It's 20, 23 feet plus. That's not an easy shot. That's something that you have to be a highly skilled player to be able to make on a consistent basis. But that shooting is where this league has gone.
All right.
So, but I'll give the Knicks credit in the sense that, Julius Randle has become a player. And when the Knicks signed him, it was regarded as, he was their backup plan. And it wasn't even like the Knicks necessarily wanted him, but they didn't get Durant, they didn't get Irving, and they needed to sign somebody. And Julius Randle was that guy, but he has turned into one of the best players in the game. I'm saying this. I'm saying Tom Thibodeau, to me, should be a lock for Coach of the Year. I don't see how anybody can really contest that or argue with that, because again, the Knicks were a garbage dump of a team for more than a decade, and they finally are starting to fix what has been wrong with this franchise for so many years. Like you said, right now the Knicks are the 4th seed. To me, that's their high watermark. They're not going to, this season anyway, they're not going to get into the elite of the Eastern Conference. And the elite is the Brooklyn Nets, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Milwaukee Bucks. The Knicks aren't getting into that company. But if the Knicks can finish 4th in the Eastern Conference, that's miles ahead of where anybody would have expected them to finish. Again, Vegas, 22.5, 23 wins, whatever they said. They were expecting the Knicks to be garbage again. So when your franchise exceeds expectations by that much, for me, you're the Coach of the Year. I don't know who else could even get, maybe I don't know, whoever the coach of the Phoenix Suns is could get should probably get some attention for that. But for me, it's Tom Thibodeau. Now, the other thing, and I'm still not a huge Julius Randle fan because I think he sometimes will do some things that just he shouldn't be doing, and he just gets it into his head that this is what I'm going to do, and no matter what, I'm going to do it, and he doesn't. There's no room for interpretation, but Julius Randle has to be at least in the conversation for MVP. Now, and I'm certainly not saying that he should be the MVP because I don't think he should be, but he should get some votes. Some down ballot votes, maybe, 5th or 6th or 7th place votes. He's been a phenomenal player this year. There's no arguing that. Every night he does something to help the Knicks win.
Right. And
you can't ignore that.
Knicks fans love yelling MVP. So
to anybody, but they love yelling it when LeBron comes to town.
Yeah, well, I remember Patrick a couple of years had the chant towards the end of the season. So anyway, the Knicks are doing great. Derrick Rose has fitted very well. When he got traded to the Knicks, everyone thought, he's going to be a hothead, or I need the ball all the time. He's fitted in very well.
But that's Thibodeau. Because you remember when Derrick Rose was here the first time, and the first time he was here, he was nothing. He was horrible, and the Knicks thought they were getting the Derrick Rose who won the MVP, and instead they got a guy who walked away from the team unannounced, and didn't leave a forwarding number, because he had to go back to Chicago to see somebody in his family. I don't know we still don't really know what happened with that. But this Derrick Rose has been the guy who the Knicks wanted the last time they had him.
Yep, I agree.
And that's Thibodeau, because Derrick Rose and Thibodeau have the kind of relationship. They're both basketball junkies, and Derrick Rose respects Tom Thibodeau. He will do whatever is needed to play for this guy. I wouldn't be surprised, because as far as I remember from that trade, Rose is in the last year of his contract.
Yes, he is.
I would not be surprised if the Knicks give him some sort of a deal, and I wouldn't be surprised if Rose takes a veteran's exception or something along those lines, as opposed to, I need $20 million. I wouldn't be surprised if Rose takes that to stay with New York and play for Thibodeau. So if that happens, and we can get the Derrick Rose who we're seeing in the last couple of months since he's come to the Knicks, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I am too, man. It just shows you how your attitude coming into a place like the Garden or for the Knicks, and you have one attitude and it's not working, and then you come back and it works. I mean, not the same way, because he's obviously doing different things, but
he's just playing better. He's more mindful of what he's doing. He's playing in a system he knows, because obviously he's played for Thibodeau a couple times before. Right. So he knows what Thibodeau wants. He knows what he expects. He likes him as a person, and he respects him as a coach. And that's the difference.
No, good point. Now, brother, let's talk about last week at about this time. We talked about the big news in soccer, and it was more in Europe than anything else, but it was still a big deal. The Super League, as it was going to be called, literally it was sort of leaked out on Sunday that this league was going to form based on the cream of the crop of the different leagues in Europe and England and stuff. And a week later, it's not happening. A lot of billionaires got shouted down basically by fans and sometimes politicians. I am shocked that they gave up literally within 3 days. If you make this announcement
within 2 days,
if you make this announcement and you have JP Morgan backing you, and all the teams are owned by super rich owners, and you give it up within 2 days, something was maybe missing in their plan, or the backlash. What?
Common sense.
Well, the backlash was so bad that they got scared as hell. And I'm not sure owners would get scared as hell. Why would they? It's about making money. Yeah, it's about winning, but it's about making money too. And I was shocked that it folded so fast. I mean, last week
I was not.
We should say, brother, that we go on at 9 a.m.
Yes.
And everything you said was picked not that they listened to the show, but everything you said ended up in other people's articles Tuesday concerning this Super League. I
think they were listening to the show, brother. If they have any sense, they would. I would
hope so. I would hope so.
But pretty much everything I said last week was what happened. And here's the deal: you can't just start a soccer league, because there are governing bodies, and there is FIFA and there is UEFA, and these governing bodies can penalize you, and they can penalize your players. And if they penalize your players, then your players are going to revolt, because immediately after the Super League was announced, first of all, the fans were up in arms, because as I said last week, brother, promotion and relegation is more than 100 years old in Europe. It is how things are done. If you play well, you earn your benefits. You earn your place in your league, which could lead to playing in the Champions League, could lead to playing in the Europa League. But you earn what you get. And on the flip side, if you are bad, you also earn what you get, which is relegation. You move down a league. So the goal for teams is to either earn promotion, or when you get to let's say the Premier League in England, then you earn places in Europe, as they call them, which is Champions League or Europa League. So and with that comes financial bonuses. So that's why teams are battling so hard to finish in the top four, or maybe to a little bit or lesser extent the top six. But that is where teams want to be. Now, for greedy owners of teams that aren't in that mix, like Arsenal right now is in 10th place in the Premier League. Yet they were going to be one of these 15 teams in the Super League through no other reason than Arsenal is a rich club. So now you have it basically was trying to Americanize a sport that was doing quite well before America even knew what competitive sports were. So that was a big part of the issue. The fans also figured that if the Super League happened, that it was going to hurt their domestic leagues. And with a point that I also made last week, because that's the case. There's no way you can say that the Super League wouldn't damage the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, if French teams chose to be in it. There's no way, because the attention would be shifted more to the Super League, because if Tottenham Hotspur, let's say, is playing in a league where they're going to be facing Real Madrid and Barcelona and the top teams in the Premier League, a couple of times a month or whatever the schedule would allow, I'm going to be more interested and concerned about those games than I am about Tottenham playing Fulham on a Saturday or a Sunday. So, it would be an incremental attack at the foundation of the Premier League, because you have your top teams, the top six teams that they wanted to take from the Premier League are the teams that have the most attention. And that's why Arsenal was one of them, despite being in 10th place this season, despite being a team that really is on a downward trajectory. But that they have fans. They have fans all over the world.
Sure, I know.
And that is what the Super League wanted, is rich teams and teams that have all kinds of fan support around the world. So that is why even the fans of those teams didn't want this, and are demanding that chairmen step down, or demanding that people sell their teams. The Chelsea supporters had a big protest. Liverpool, it wants the Fenway Sports Group to sell the club. Tottenham supporters want Daniel Levy to resign, and they want ENIC, which is the conglomerate that owns Spurs. They want them to sell. I mean, I don't know who's going to buy all these teams. Maybe Jeff Bezos can buy 3 or 4 of them if he wants. But this is the the acrimony that has resulted from all this. And FIFA is even saying that there will be punishments because there has to be some kind of punishment for trying to do this and just trying to go rogue and start your own league. I mean, FIFA immediately said the day after this was announced that if this league goes forward, then players on these clubs will not be allowed to play for their national teams. That's how serious it was. And as soon as the players heard that, it's like, hey, we didn't start this. We don't support this. And don't blame us for this. But, yeah, we're not going along with this. So that was why the whole thing collapsed, and it collapsed quickly because the owners, all they saw was the money.
I know that, but that's the thing. It collapsed so quickly, brother. It wasn't even a week. It was literally 3 days. And
it was 2 days. 2 days.
2 days. I mean, but how do you put all this money up? You get a backer like J.P. Morgan, and all of a sudden it's like, well, we give up. You know,
because like I said, all they were thinking about was the money, and all they saw, all they saw was dollar signs or pound signs or whatever the currency of the country is. That was all they saw, and they did not consider anything else. And I mean, some of the owners just were very. I thought were pretty sincere in telling their fans, hey, you know what, we screwed up, and we apologize for that. We're gonna. I mean, what's his name? Henry from the Fenway Sports Group for Liverpool. He said he apologized to Jurgen Klopp, the manager of Liverpool, for creating this situation and now all this drama.
Well, did he apologize to the fans?
Yeah, he did apologize to the fans, but he apologized to everybody. I mean, I thought his apology was one of the few credible ones. I thought Daniel Levy's apology, the Spurs chairman, I thought his apology was a joke. And there were other apologies that were given that I thought were just they didn't go nearly far enough, and it didn't sound nearly sincere enough. But there were a couple of people who actually did acknowledge, hey, we screwed up, and we're going to try to do better. But the problem with having to make that kind of apology is that you didn't think about any of this before the move was made and before the announcement was made, and to say that, all right, well, we're going to create a super league and we're going to, and this is going to be good for football. No, it's going to be good for your bank account. It's not going to be good for fans. Fans don't want this. Fans haven't wanted this. This is to say that we're going to say, all right, these 15 teams will always be a part of this league, no matter what. That's a disaster.
I think it's pretty cool, actually, because that's what they do in the States.
Well, yeah, because you're an American, brother, and you don't recognize you don't recognize the history of what is going on in Europe, and that's true.
I did not think of the history of how they move up and down in divisions and stuff like that. You're right. I did not think of that.
Yeah, but neither did the owners, and the owners are the very people. The owners, as I forget who said it, but owners are the caretakers of the game, or they're supposed to be.
Right.
Team ownership will change over years, over decades. Ownership will change, and it's up to the owners to protect the sanctity of the game. And yes, do they make money along the way? Absolutely, they make lots of money, but at the same time, you can't be the ones who screw up the game completely on your watch. That's part of being an owner, is being that caretaker. And to completely ignore that responsibility is disgraceful. And that's what every one of these owners did. Well, every single one of them who signed up for this league.
Have they announced who came up with the idea? I mean, someone had to come up and say, "Hey, why don't we start our own league?"
Supposedly, it was one of the Italian owners. I forget his name, but yes, I mean, they're and it wouldn't surprise me if the American owners, the Glazers for Manchester United and the Fenway Sports Group for Liverpool and Stan Kroenke for Arsenal, it wouldn't surprise me if they were the impetus for this. I mean, that part hasn't come out yet, but. The Italian owners, I forget his name. I have to look. But they were the ones leading the charge, and part of this was because COVID has really hurt several of these teams financially, and some of them it's been devastating because and part of the reason for that is because they've already spent so much money and they're always trying to play catch up. And we talked a little bit about financial fair play last week, and I won't go into that too much, but that's part of the issue is that they are reeling from all of the money that they spent that they were expecting to make over the last couple of seasons that they haven't made because fans haven't been in stadiums. So there has been a limited resource of money, and I think a lot of the clubs, or several of the clubs anyway, were looking at this as a way to not only make that money back, but to also add additional profit that wasn't there. And they were looking at it as a revenue stream, and it's disgraceful.
I agree. Anyway, brother, quickly, the MLS has started.
MLS.
Yeah,
we love the MLS.
Not that they're going to start their own Super League, but they have started. It is March.
They are a Super League, brother.
They are a Super League?
They are a Super League.
Yeah,
we love the MLS.
Anyway, quickly, brother, we have about 4 minutes left. Islanders are now in third place.
Well, wait a minute, brother. MLS has started. Let's at least give some scores. And your NYCFC.
Who cares? I don't care.
Your NYCFC beat Cincinnati 5-0.
Brother.
Good. Don't worry about it.
3 minutes.
Red Bulls have started off the season with 2 losses, brother.
Yeah,
NYCFC is 1-1. They beat FC Cincinnati again, like I said, 5-0 this week.
Okay, brother. We can live without that. Islanders are now in third place. They lost back-to-back to the Caps. 63 points they have. The Penguins are in first with 67. The Caps have 66. What?
Where'd the Penguins come from?
I don't know, man. And the Islanders have lost 4 out of the last 6. They have 8 games left. The Rangers have been playing very well there. They have 56 points right now. One of the problems of playing everyone in the same division constantly is that you go up and down fast in your standings if you're not doing well, or if you're doing well. So, the Islanders, we look forward to. I still think. Well, I thought they were going to be in first for the rest of the year, but obviously I'm not sure that's going to happen now.
Well, four of the Islanders' last 8 games are against the Devils and the Sabres, who are 2 of the worst teams in the league. So,
okay. Well, maybe
the Islanders could still move up, but the thing that concerns me is the games against the Capitals and the Bruins. I mean, the Islanders, they need to start beating playoff teams and not just the lower echelons, because if they don't start beating playoff teams, then they're not going to be a playoff team for very long, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I have them going to the finals, so.
Yeah, well, that currently seems optimistic, brother.
I'm an optimistic guy, you know that. So
yes, absolutely.
I would like to hopefully maybe see one more game at the Coliseum before the UBS Arena opens next year.
You better hurry.
Literally on the border of Queens and Nassau, that's Belmont.
Yes.
So anyway, brother, I don't know if you know, I know you'll be listening. Big Ed is coming up next with the Good Gold Show at 10 o'clock.
I am aware.
And playing all the oldies that don't get played anymore, let's be honest. Anyway, thank you for listening to From the Press Box. We're here every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I'm Rob Leonard. He's Tim Leonard. This show becomes a podcast later on Spreaker, on Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Thanks to Sean Novak for keeping us on the air, and see you next time. Bye-bye.